Hi my friends, how are you today? If you have found me, then you have found my little corner of the internet that I like to call Beyond Reasonable Doubt, where we talk all things true crime, culty, and a little bit creepy. My name is Misty Sims, and I am so glad that you clicked that button or clicked that link to see this video, and I do hope that you'll hit that subscribe button right up here and hang out with me long term. I'd love to have you here so we can talk more true crime all the time. And if you're a returning subscriber, you already know that I love you more than cupcakes with sprinkles. And I'm hoping you guys had a great weekend. Comment below what you did today or over the weekend. It's Sunday here. You're probably watching this on Monday. We had a pretty productive weekend. Got a lot of stuff done with the food bus, so that was exciting. And we even put down a contract on a restaurant, so we're excited about that. We'll try to keep you posted on how that's going, but that was my weekend. I hope you guys got outside some, enjoyed the sunshine. It's unbelievably hot here in Tennessee. I know it's August, but it still seems like it should not be quite this, like, just scorching. But nevertheless, here we are. It's last Saturday without football, so I'm pretty excited about that. And yeah, all in all, just a great weekend. So I hope you guys have one too. Cannot get comfy today. So before we get into this video, I do want to remind you that this video is for entertainment purposes only. Everything that I'm about to tell you is just information that I have researched and compiled into one place from the internet as a lady with a camera, a mic, and entirely too much to say. So today's case it's an older one now. It doesn't seem like it. It feels like it was just yesterday, but it's about 20 years old at this point, and it is the case of Laci Peterson. Now, this one's hit the media again lately because Scott has made some petitions and some appeals and is still proclaiming his innocence. So we'll get into that towards the end of the video. But a lot of folks, 20 years ago, you might not, if you're some of the viewers of this channel, based on the metrics that I've seen, you might not remember this case. You may be too young, or, some of y'all might not even been born 20 years ago. But it was one that rocked the nation, and I think when you hear the story and you see Laci's face, I think you'll see why. She was just a bubbly light that just sounds like she, just really impacted all the people around her. Everyone loved her, and she was unfortunately taken from us entirely too soon. So I want to get into that today and give you a little background on that, and then share what Scott's up to now and what's going on. And of course, get your opinion as always of what you think of this case and what you think of the verdict and what you think about his appeal. So let's get right into it. Laci was born Laci Denise Rocha on May 4th, 1975, to parents Sharon and Dennis, who were high school sweethearts and owned a dairy farm in California. And Laci, she was just the cutest little kid and enjoyed running around on the farm with her older brother, Brent. They had a great time playing there and working a little bit. She was very young when she was on the farm originally. But she still loved to play outside with Brent and do a little work, as you would have it. And then she also loved playing in the garden with her mom. And sadly, her parents would divorce, and Sharon would move to Modesto, California with she and Brent. But Laci was going back along with Brent to visit the farm every weekend and her dad. So she did grow up still on that farm, which just really manifested her love of agriculture, horticulture, and things like that she carried through her life. Mom Sharon would go on to remarry a man named Ray Gransky. I hope I'm saying that right, Ray, for you. And Ray would be a huge impact to Laci's life. He was very much a father figure to her. Although she still had her dad, Ray was just like a supplement, or what people call nowadays, I guess, bonus dad. Very much filled that role and was very supportive of her. And Dennis would also go on into be in another relationship, and that would bring Laci her half-sister Amy, who we'll hear about later in the story. So they've got this big, beautiful blended family, and Laci growing up was just a bright, bubbly young lady, always had a smile on her face, just absolute beauty. And she was a cheerleader through her middle school and high school years, and maintained that love of gardening so much so that when she graduated from high school, she decided to pursue a degree in ornamental horticulture. That was a mouthful, and I got it. So, but she would go on to California Polytechnic State University. I had to look at my notes. That's a long university name. But she kept manifesting that whole love for gardening that she had done as a kid, and I just thought that was really sweet, that something that she started so young in life, because she departed the dairy farm full time when she was only 2, but her mom still manifested that through, just gardening in the yard and things like that. So I thought that was just a really sweet memory and obviously passion of hers, and that's something she could share with her mom, Sharon. Laci would go on here in college to meet the man of her dreams that she would eventually marry, and Scott Peterson. And Scott was born Scott Lee Peterson on October 24th, 1972, to parents Lee and Jackie. And he was the only child between Lee and Jackie, but Lee and Jackie brought 6 other children between them to the relationship. So it was a large family. They all lived in this very small apartment. I think it was a 2-bedroom apartment in La Jolla. But by all indications, while it may sound crowded, he had a great childhood, great growing up, parents who loved him, and siblings who, he made fond memories with. And Scott found his true calling in the world of golf. He was quite the passionate golf player as a child, and by the time he was 14, he was out playing his dad. So this became, what was started out as fun and as a passion to just really being a true calling for him. So much so that he went on to play on high school teams and eventually into college. And he's playing his teammates with a name that you may know if you follow the golf circuit. His teammate was future pro golfer Phil Mickelson. So, he's not joking around. He's playing with some real big names. And when he graduated high school, he actually went to Arizona State University, where Phil went, on a partial golf scholarship. So he's on the team there, and he's getting to play and really just live out his dream, it seems, on the surface. However, there was a lot of animosity. Scott was starting to get a little jealous, of folks like Phil and some other teammates who were playing a little bit better than him. So it kind of was off to a little bit of a rocky start. But the mess hit the fan one night when Scott took a young recruit who was there at the college on a recruiting tour out on a night of just super heavy partying and drinking. And the kid's dad was like, that's not going to fly with me. He told the coach, and ultimately Scott ends up getting kicked off the team. And he leaves Arizona State because, his dreams are kind of over for there. And he went to, I think, 1 or 2 colleges in between, and then he finally lands at the California Polytechnic State University, where he's going to go on to meet Laci. So, he's not off to the best start, right? I mean, he's living out his dream, gets kicked off the team because he's acting like a college kid, and probably wasn't really thinking that was going to be impactful for the rest of his life. But, it was, and they're taking these scholarships and things very seriously, and this recruiting very seriously. So, didn't go very well for Scott. But anyway, he goes here and he decides that he wants to major in agricultural business. That's just kind of piqued his interest, something he wants to do. And all of his professors describe Scott as the absolute model student. I think one actually said that if he could have a classroom full of Scott Petersons, it would be just the ideal situation. So, he's doing great. He's settled down. Things are going good. And he gets a job at a restaurant on Morro Bay called the Pacific Cafe. And Laci frequents this restaurant because a friend of hers works there. And these two, I guess they're making eyes across the room. They see each other. She's kind of taken by his good looks and charm. He's taken by that just pure beauty that she's got and that beautiful smile, and they're kind of smitten kittens with each other. And finally, Laci is like, gives her friend her phone number, and she's like, can you give this to Scott, because this needs to happen. And the two start dating, I think, in 1994, and I think about how cute that probably was. Just like, hey, can you give him my number? Please let him call me. They go out on their first date. He takes her out on a boat, and she gets seasick. And it's like, wow, that sounds like my kind of luck on a first date. But it didn't deter the couple at all. They went on to keep dating and began to get much more serious with each other. And Laci's mom has even, I think, gone on record saying, that she knew that Laci was just really serious about this guy. Like this, Laci had said this was who she was going to marry, and Sharon very much believed that too. And she loved Scott. When she met Scott for the first time, he brought, I think, her a dozen roses and Laci a dozen roses. So, I mean, he's very cordial. He's very charming. Just a gentleman, right? On the surface, anyway. And they go on to, they move in together, and then they ultimately get married. So, in 1997, they get married at the Sycamore Mineral Springs Resort, which is just a beautiful backdrop for this wedding. It's a small wedding, but it is just gorgeous. And Laci is just stunning. I mean, she's got on this beautiful white dress. It's very complimentary to her. She's got elbow-length white gloves and a smile for days. I mean, they're hugging, they're kissing, they're smiling. I mean, she truly believes that she has married just the absolute end-all, be-all man of her dreams. And she, just like any bride would want it. This was the perfect day for her, right? And it was just, I don't know. The pictures are they're so stunning. And her face is it just says it all in the pictures of how happy she really was. So we're married. Scott goes on to finish his degree. Laci's already finished hers. And in 1998, they decide that they want to get into the restaurant business. So they buy this little sports bar and open it up. And they call it The Shack. And it was this just cute little hamburger joint, kind of a little dive, but super cute. And I thought it was really, really precious since they met, in a restaurant, that now they go on to open one. So they operate this for a couple of years, and, things are going well. But, like most young couples, they want to start a family. They're ready. They want to settle down and, really nail down some careers, and I guess maybe not be in something so risky. And they decide that they're going to move back to Modesto, to where her family is from, and they're going to sell the shack. So around late 2000, they go ahead and move back. I think around early 2001 is when the restaurant actually sold and closed. But they're living in more of a upscale neighborhood near East Loma Park in Modesto, and bought, a very nice house, and they're in a great neighborhood. Laci gets a job now as a substitute teacher part-time, and Scott takes on a job as a fertilizer salesman for the Trade Corp USA company. And apparently that was like a recent subsidiary of another very well-known fertilizer company. Not real up on my fertilizer, but it sounds like he was doing great things there, and it was a job that was paying him extremely well. We all know jobs in sales can be, they can be scary, but they can pay really, really well. And he was bringing home, in the early 2000s, $5,000 a month as his salary, so doing quite well for himself. And, Laci is just overjoyed with where her life is right now. She's got this beautiful home. She's got this beautiful marriage. She is loving being a wife. She just had a passion for, being a good wife, cooking, keeping the house up, entertaining. And they described her as absolutely loving to watch Martha Stewart. And I'm like, girl, same. I love Martha Stewart. I think Laci and I are soulmates there, because I absolutely love that. And, she wanted to just translate a lot of things that she learned from Martha into her life, and while she was entertaining and things like that. So I like that about her. I thought that was a great, like a fun little trait that I share with her. And she went on in 2002 to just go over the moon for one other thing that she really wanted, and that was when she found out she was going to be a mom. And she was so excited. I mean, just this young blossoming marriage, great husband, great life, and now they're going to add a baby to it. And she was so excited, and they decided to name this little boy Connor, and he was due in February of 2003. So just, Laci she's over the moon. I mean, her dreams are all coming true. This being a mom was like just the just the cherry on top, right? I mean, it was everything. But what poor Laci had no idea was that Scott was taking all of those dreams and he was turning them into what would become her nightmare. A friend had just recently introduced Scott to a Fresno native woman who was a massage therapist named Amber Frey. Or Amber Fry, I'm sorry. And, they began to be into a romantic relationship around November of 2002. So, mind you, Scott knows Laci's pregnant. I mean, we ain't hiding it at that point, and just doesn't care. He starts up this romantic relationship with another woman. And I'm going to say relationship here. I don't want to say affair, and you'll find out why as we go a little further into this, and we step through the upcoming events. So, bear with me on that one. Fast forward to December 23rd. So this affair has been going on between Scott and Amber for a little bit, right? Laci doesn't know. As far as we know, Laci had no idea. So December 23rd, they're out, Laci and Scott, running errands like a couple typically would. And one of those errands included him getting his hair cut by Laci's sister, Amy, who I mentioned earlier. So she's a hairdresser in her early 20s. And they swing by her workplace to get Scott's haircut, which is something they did every month. So Amy's chatting him up, everything seems normal, and she's talking about this fruit basket that she has bought that she needs to pick up the next day. It's a gift. And Scott's like, oh, well, how about I just pick that up for you, because I'm going to be golfing right beside there on Christmas Eve, because that's what we do on Christmas Eve is we go play golf. But I've never been a professional golfer, so maybe that is what you do. I don't know. I like to play golf, but professional, I ain't. So anyway, I'll pick that up for you. You don't worry about that, Amy. I got you. I'm the great brother-in-law. So, great. They go home. They do a few things around the house. About 8:30 that night, Laci calls her mom, which is pretty normal for her. And they chat it up for a little bit. And then she hangs up, getting ready for bed. And Sharon had no idea that that was the last time that she was going to talk to her daughter, Laci. So, the following day, Christmas Eve, Scott says that he gets up and he gets ready to leave around 9:30 to go fishing. So you heard me right. Like, he told Amy yesterday he's going to play golf. Now he says he's going fishing. He's going to go fishing at the Berkeley Marina, which is about 90 miles away from their house. But whatever. So he's going fishing. He gets ready, tells Laci goodbye. She's sitting there watching a Martha Stewart episode about making meringues, and she tells him that she's going to mop the floor, bake cookies, and then walk their dog, Mackenzie. So, typical day. Scott kisses her bye, walks out the door. Around 10:30-ish, a neighbor of theirs named Karen Service, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Karen, she finds Mackenzie out running around. No Laci, just Mackenzie out. And normally Mackenzie's not out just running around doing his own thing. So Karen's like, okay, I don't really know what's going on here. Puts dog in the backyard, being a good neighbor, right? Another neighbor also gave a statement saying that they saw Mackenzie while they were out walking their dog, and it was around 10:45. But either way, it doesn't matter. We got a Mackenzie out, we got no Laci, and this is not normal, right? So Scott then says he calls home around 2:15, leaves a message on their answering machine that says, hey, beautiful, I'm on my way home, leaving Berkeley. Bye. So I'm guessing if it was 90 miles away, it's going to take him some time to get home. And I never found the exact time that he arrived home. But when he does get home, he sees Laci's car in the driveway. He finds Mackenzie in the backyard, and the house is empty. What would you do? Like, what would you do in this situation? You got a 7.5-month pregnant wife. She ain't there. She says she's supposed to be walking the dog. Dog's in the backyard, which she wouldn't do. And you don't know where she is. So what would you do? You'd take a shower and wash your clothes, right? Yeah, because that's what he did. Didn't ask any questions, nothing. Just goes, takes a shower, washes his clothes. Which, why? I mean, I get they're probably, if you've been fishing, they're probably dirty, whatever. But, like, you can't find your wife. You don't know where she is. Her car's in the driveway. Okay. So then he goes and he asks the neighbors. He's like, hey, have you seen Laci? And they're like, no, we haven't seen her. We haven't seen her at all. And the neighbors distinctly remember him mentioning, I've been golfing today. So here we go. We're We're not even good liars at this point, are we, Scott? We're already off to a bad start here. But now he's getting nervous, I guess. Here's some time's gone by, and now he's worried, after he got his clothes dry or whatever. So then he calls Laci's parents, or Laci's mom and stepfather, and he's like, I can't find Laci. And they, of course, go into a panic. Hey, we're on our way. Like, let's figure this out. What are we doing? So when they hang up, in the meantime, her stepfather, Ron, calls the police to report her missing. Scott's calling at the same time, reporting her missing. It's 6 o'clock. So a decent amount of time's gone by, and you are not concerned where your 7.5-month pregnant wife is up until this point, which is, I feel like that's a little unnerving, but okay. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt right there. Like, all right, maybe you wanted to take some time, but okay. So anyway, police show up. They're looking, right? They're like, all right, what's the first thing we need to look at? Her car is here. Where's her purse? Her purse, her wallet, her keys, her sunglasses, everything is all together, and it's in the closet, like where she's put it away, right? I mean, she's a 7.5-month pregnant mom. She's probably nesting, right? So everything's put where it needs to go. It's all there. The car's in the driveway, so she is not getting anywhere easily. It's not like she had her cards, her money, she's in the car. I mean, you're 7.5 months pregnant. I can vouch for saying that I probably wasn't walking real far at that point either, unless I was, about another month along and trying to keep walking to, get labor going or something. But they know she's not going very far. So the police start to kind of suspect something isn't right here. Somebody's done something to this lady, or she at least didn't leave on her own accord, right? There's no signs of break-in or anything, but something just doesn't sound right. But they kind of keep that on the down low because they're starting to scratch their heads a little bit on the way Scott's acting. He's cool, he's calm, he's collected, and he's not asking any questions. He's not asking the detectives like, hey, what's the next step? Are you going to call me? Can I get your card so I can follow up with you? What do we do next? Nothing. But they don't say anything because the family, Laci's family, they're very adamant that they don't, Scott's a good guy, they're the perfect couple, there's no way he's involved, right? So they keep that just a little bit to themselves while they question him further. He explains he's been fishing 90 miles away, he's been at the Berkeley Marina, here's all these things to show where I've been. So, he may be a person of interest, but we're not saying that he's a suspect at this point. Okay. Well, like I said, he's got family support right now. But what Scotty Too Hottie here didn't know is the whole roof is about to blow off. His is about to hit the fan. Because in just a few days, on December 30th, the police are going to get a knock on their door, hypothetically. And it's not hypothetically, it's another word. Proverbially? I don't know. Big words, I don't know. Anyway, they're going to get a knock on their door, and Amber Fry's going to walk in. And she is going to say, I just saw my boyfriend on the news as a potential person of interest for his missing pregnant wife. And I got something to say. I got a lot to say. I'm going to spill all the tea. I'm going to tell you everything because, one, I did meet him and he told me he was single. And then fast forward just a little bit, December the 9th, so they met in November, December the 9th, he's going to look her in the face, look her in the face, and he's going to say, I'm so sad because I am single because my wife died. This is my first Christmas without her. If you are on Spotify right now, you cannot see my face unless you downloaded the video, but go to YouTube, look at my face because what? What in the world? You look her in the face and you tell her 2 weeks before your wife goes missing that you're a widow. You're a widow. Were you already planning it? Because But anyway, so Amber's doing the right thing, right? She's like, I didn't know I need to tell somebody. I'm scared. What do I need to do? So the police are like, we got you. He doesn't know you're here. We need you to call him on the phone and try to get him to confess. And she complies with everything. It doesn't quite work out the way that they hope it will, but Amber is cooperative. She is doing everything to the T that the police want her to do. So again, that is why I'm hesitant to say affair, because I mean, I don't think she knew. I've seen the tapes. I've seen her press conference that we're going to get to here in just a second. I've seen all that type of stuff, and I really do not think she knew. I think she was just taken in by this jockstrap the same way Laci was. Like, I mean, he's not a bad-looking dude. I would assume he's got a little swagger. He's a professional athlete, you know, that it's appealing to some people. I just feel like she was sucked in. And if she lived in a different town, you might not know, right? You don't always know what's going on in somebody else's life. I mean, there's been people that have pulled this off with people living in the same town. I mean, you know, we hear about these things all the time, so I don't think she knew. And Laci's family certainly didn't know about Amber. So in January of 2003, when the police come to them and they're like, we got something to tell y'all. We've got this lady who's come forward and she says she's having an affair with Scott. And I'm sure by that point, you know, at first maybe they were like, what? No way, not what? But she brought the receipts. She had pictures. She had pictures of them together, and it was coupled up pictures. I mean, they were very much in a relationship, or she thought she was, right? She thought she was in a relationship with this man. And I mean, it didn't take but like a drop of grease in the skillet getting hot for Laci's mom to be like, okay, no, we're done. We're done here, and I know you killed my daughter. You did something to her. I know you did, because I've been trying to do the math here, and for some reason where 2 + 2 should be 4, it's making 5, and I'm not okay with this. So the whole family is like, no, we're washing our hands with you. We officially went to the police, and they withdrew their support. And at the same time, Amber's doing a press conference to make sure that the world knows her involvement in the investigation, that she is not holding anything back. She's being truthful. She's being honest. And she is saying, I don't know what he did. I can't prove it, but I can tell you he wasn't being honest with me. He told me that he was a widower and she wasn't dead at the time. So, And Laci's brother Brent has gone on to say that Scott did confess over the phone to him that he had an affair with a young lady in Fresno. He didn't, I don't think he said her name, but still, it all added up. But then after that, he cut all communication with Laci's family. So if you're not guilty of anything, like, why are you stopping talking to her family? I mean, I understand that you probably know that the family is looking at you some kind of way because you've been messing around on their baby girl, but at the same time too, your stupid little affair is the least of the problems right now. Like, nope, I mean, other than the fact of it's starting to sound bad because you said that she was, you were a widower. Like, we literally don't care about an affair unless it's directly tied to what happened to her and they want to find her. Like, that's the utmost importance. We'll deal with your sorry butt later, right? But he stopped talking to him. So, you're looking bad, Scott. You're looking bad. But anyway, so people searched high and low, right? They were looking everywhere for her. And like, this is getting nationwide coverage. Like, I remember this like it was yesterday. All the coverage, her face was everywhere. They were trying. Rewards started out at like 25,000, I think. I can't remember, but it went all the way up to 500,000. I mean, people were invested. They wanted to bring Laci home, and they wanted to bring Connor home. You got this poor lady who's out here. He's due in February, and all this stuff is hitting the fan around January. There's a very good chance that she's either already had him or she's about to go into labor. So we got to find him, right? And then, so sadly, in April of 2003, on April 13th, a couple was walking their dog on the beach, and they were kind of close to this like marshy area. I think it's called Richmond's Point Isabel Regional Shoreline Park, and they found the body of it was decomposed but still fairly well preserved, of a late term male fetus. And then just a day later, a torso of a pregnant female was found about a mile away from where the fetus was found. So on April 18th, they were able to confirm through DNA that this was the bodies of Laci and Connor. So definitely not what the outcome that they wanted, but we at least now have them. The family has them back. The decomposition on Laci's body was severe. So, while there was a lot of good work done, the actual, cause of death and a lot of things surrounding it were very hard to try to determine. She was only a torso at this point. They were unable to recover her head or her limbs. So you got a lot going on here, without a lot to work with, sadly. And it's 20 years ago, so DNA's come a long way even since then, and it was pretty good back then. So they were able to get the ID. Police are like, all right, we know it was him. We know this guy is good for this. And his parents are living in Tijuana at the time. We're worried he's going to run, right? They are worried he's going to run to Mexico. And it's not like he's got far to go because he's living in San Diego at the time. So they're like, oh, okay, we got to do something. So they start searching. They get warrants for the house, the boat, his truck, and they start going through stuff. And they find all types of things that lead them to believe that some foul play has happened, including homemade anchors, like the I guess kits to make them. I'm not super savvy on homemade anchors. I don't know many people that are, but they find enough concrete residue and things like that they believe that he made 5 and that 4 are missing, and they believe that he tied 4 of them to her to sink her in the bay. So, whoa, that's a lot to process, that some man who supposedly loved this woman, she's carrying his child, and he hurt her in some way and then put her and his son in the water. So it's a lot. Anyway, all that leads to an arrest, right? They get an arrest warrant and they roll in on him. They are coming hard for him, honey, and they are ready. So the police couldn't recover the anchors, but they had enough. So they go and they find him on April the 18th when the DNA came back. They find him and he's at the golf course, because where else would he be? Fishing, right? Probably lying. But they find him and they get ready to arrest him. He's like, I'm just here to play golf with my brother and my dad. I don't know what you're talking about. And then they're looking at him and they're like, why did you dye your hair blonde? Like, why is your hair a different color? And then they look in his car. So he's got the truck, but he's also got this Mercedes. And they're like, why is your car so full of stuff? What is the stuff? And so they start pulling the stuff out. And he's got several changes of clothes. He's got $15,000 in cash. He's got survival gear. He's got camping gear. He has got 2 different IDs. One's his brother's, which his dad tried to explain away. But either way, why you got 2 IDs, Scott? And you got different color hair. And then 4 cell phones. Like, who the heck needs 4 cell phones? Like, okay. And then he's got 12 pills of Viagra. And I'm laughing because I'm like, your face is all over the media. All over it. It's everywhere. It's on all the news. And everybody thinks that you have killed your pregnant wife, your unborn child, and you got Viagra pills in your pants, or in your car. Who the hell you think you're sleeping with, man? Like, ain't nobody surely ain't no girl with any kind of sense getting in on that right now. Like, we need to figure out if you really are like one of these people. It's like, okay, well, if that was great, but now I'm going to tie some concrete to you and sink you in the bay. Like, I guess maybe if he's going to Mexico, maybe they hadn't heard about it. I don't know, but I'm like, what? Anyway, okay, moving on. So Scott's arraigned, and he gets a pretty high-profile attorney for himself, as he needs. But he gets Mark Garagos, and Amber gets Gloria Allred. So Gloria, I think she was high-profile for some at the point, but I don't know that we'd heard of either one of these two, like, nationwide. I mean, I'm over here in Tennessee, right? Like, I might not have heard of these people, but dang Skippy, by the end of this trial, I'd heard of both of them. But, he gets Mark, And his trial gets underway in June of 2004. So about a year, well, not quite a year later, I guess. He was arrested in April. So yeah, that's a little over a year later. It gets going. And Mark's good, right? Like, I can't take anything away from him. He's doing his job. He's a defense attorney. However, it just ticked me off in the trial because he's like, he's a cad, right? Because he's out sleeping around on his wife and she's pregnant and all this kind of this, that, and the other, da, 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 da. But he ain't gonna throw his whole life away and murder his wife for a masseuse. First of all, sir, how dare you? Her job does not mean that she's not a worthwhile human being. You're just trying to discredit her. You're trying to make her sound less than, and it's his fault. He was the liar. He was the cheater. He's all the things. Stop it. And then this fool brings out, like, the Martha Stewart that was showing that morning, because I guess they're trying to discredit Scott, saying, well, Martha Stewart wasn't even on that morning, or she wasn't talking about meringues or whatever. He brings out the episode to prove that they were talking about meringues, because, you need to stop bringing Martha into this, okay? Leave Martha out of this. She had her own problems. Leave Martha out of that, okay? Leave her out of it. But anyway, all that, to me, that was just like a bunch of theatrics, right? Like, he's just trying to create a circus around a circus, and it was a circus for sure. But the prosecution, they've got a lot. They got so much compelling evidence. Not only do you have these two bodies that have been dumped into a body of water, and you've got him saying that he was at the marina, around that time. He's got receipts, I think, where he checked in. You've got Amber's testimony. You've got the mixed stories on whether he was fishing or he was golfing, or maybe you can golf fish. I don't know. But they've got all that type of stuff. He was trying to sell the house before they found her. So he's trying to dump this house before they've even found her. It was in like January. He's trying to trade her Land Rover in on his new truck. This doesn't look good. Like, you're getting rid of her things before she's even been found. For all we know, she could have been taken and still be alive, but you're just dumping her stuff left, right, and sideways. And oh, by the way, you had a car full of stuff looking like you were about to take a long-distance trip, buddy. Survival gear and camping gear, because I'm going to tell you what, a pro golfing fertilizer salesman living in Modesto, California does not come across as the type of guy that needs survival gear on a regular basis. Doesn't need to be traveling around with it in his Mercedes. I'm not a professional investigator. I don't even play one on the internet. But I think I can pretty much say that that's probably spot on. Probably didn't need that. Not on the regular, right? So anyway, the trial goes on. There's a lot of jury misconduct. There's just a lot of things. Jurors are dismissed. There's just stuff going on. I think at one point I have read that they did introduce this idea of Laci being killed by burglars, and I'll get back to that in just a second. But either way, regardless of what they said, Scott was ultimately found guilty on 2 counts of murder in November of 2004, and that carried a penalty of death by lethal injection for him, which was came to terms with on December the 13th. The judge handed that down. Now, since then, he's appealed the crap out of this, and in August 2020, so we're still going on that long. August 2020, Scott he didn't win the appeal. They upheld the conviction. However, his sentence from death by lethal injection was converted to life without the possibility of parole. So, I guess that they found that the judge had dismissed some jurors based on their thoughts on the death penalty, and so that they found juror misconduct. So that was enough to at least say, well, all right, we're not going to give you the needle, but you're still going to sit there and think about what you did. So, I here nor there on that one. At least he is paying for what he did. But rewind back, I wanted to say something too specifically about the sentencing. The family did get the chance to speak at the sentencing hearing, and Brent, the brother, spoke. It actually was pretty emotional and gut-wrenching, and of course they all are, her whole family it was. But Brent actually admitted to the fact that he went and he purchased a firearm because he was going to take care of Scott himself, and then decided that he wanted him to have to just sit and soak in what he did. And just how much he's ruined their lives based on what he did. So I thought that was just like, I don't know, that one hurt my heart when I'm thinking about her big brother, right? Her big brother who was like gonna protect her, and probably I don't want to say guilt because he's not guilty of anything, but he probably trusted Scott. They were probably friends, and he betrayed him and he betrayed his sister. And as a big brother, you're gonna protect your sister, and he took that decision space of protection away from him. So I just really kind of felt that one, kind of deep in my heart for Brent. But anyway, so the conviction has been overturned, or the conviction was upheld, but the sentencing was changed. So he was transferred then from San Quentin to Mule Creek State Prison. So I don't know why Mule Creek just sounds like somewhere he should be, but San Quentin sounded better. But anyway, so Scott has gone on to file about 1,000,007 habeas corpus petitions. One of the most recent has been in 2023 or 2022, but we're still talking about it in 2023 because this douchebag is still relevant for some reason. I shouldn't say that. This person is still relevant for some reason, because he's still alleging jury misconduct, and he is sticking to this burglary story. So what he's saying is that Laci witnessed a burglary in a neighboring house. She saw two people dragging a safe out, and I guess, her and her pregnant self, she's out there, I'm going to call the police on you, and you better put that back. I'm paraphrasing what he said. I don't see that as something that a pregnant woman would do. I mean, granted, I was 6 feet tall and bulletproof, gonna tell everybody what to do, but I think my mama bear would have kicked in to be like, I am not gonna start anything with these people now. I might go back to my house and call the police, but I'm not going to like confront them, because I'm protecting myself and protecting this baby, all that type of stuff. But I don't know, that's just what he says. And I mean, I find it hard to believe this story, and it's not because I don't believe thieves would do something like that to make sure that, that they didn't get in trouble for what they did for stealing something. But yeah, I mean, if you're worried about getting in trouble for stealing something, but are you not worried about getting in trouble for murder? Let's start there. But then second of all, isn't it weird that just like the freaking stars aligned that your wife was murdered 2 weeks after you told your mistress that you were a widower? I mean, I guess stranger stuff's happened, but I'm trying my best to think of a scenario where that has happened, and I can't, Scott. I can't find one. So, I don't know. Sharon, Laci's mom, has gone on to do some amazing things. She's a big advocate. They've gotten a lot of legislation passed, to protect pregnant women and unborn babies and things like that from these types of acts. And her book that she wrote about Laci and Connor, she donates the proceeds from that to a foundation that she established in their name. So Sharon is just a rock star to be able to still go and do all that stuff after her tragic loss. Brent and Amy, from everything that I could find, they've kind of laid low, and I get that. I mean, it's your family member. It's not always easy to talk about. I think I've let it in a couple of videos that the reason I got really into true crime was we lost a family member to a violent act, and I've been clear that I won't go into the details because I don't have the consent of all my family to do so. However, I can say it changes you, and it changes the things that you might want to talk about and might not. And some people deal with that in different ways, so I completely get them laying low about it. And sadly, Laci's father and stepfather have both since passed away. I think her father was 72 when he passed away. I'm not sure of Ron's age, but both have since passed on. And I like to think that, they're in a better place with Laci and Connor, and being able to be with them finally and enjoy their grandson and so many things that were taken from them by this individual. But I will say there's a huge crowd of people that do not believe Scott Peterson is guilty. In fact, for some time, and I can't remember when it was, I was, if I can find it, I'll drop it as a note up here. He was the most popular inmate on death row. Like, there were women sending him marriage proposals and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, I am the biggest fan in the world of Love During Lockup, Love After Lockup, all the things. If y'all have seen that show, it is my guilty pleasure for sure. However, I don't think any of them on there have been convicted of murdering their pregnant wives. So I'm not saying you should get on the Tinder or the Bumble or what. I've never done a dating app in my life, because when I got married, I don't even know if there were dating apps. I've been married for a hot minute, and I'm getting older, but I am certain there's a lot of fish in that sea that don't fall in that category. So I'm going to need you to like get better idols, get better boyfriends, get better something. Do not pursue an inmate on death row as your significant other. And if he's proven innocent later, Scott, I will formally apologize to you. I will look on this camera and I will say, I am so sorry that I thought you were guilty. But I got to just say it, guys, I think the jury got it. I think they got it right. I don't know. What do y'all think? I mean, by all means, if you feel differently, please let me know in the comments. Point me towards the evidence that you found, because his sister, she very much is standing by him, as I would expect her to. So, and like Mark, his attorney said, I mean, in all honesty, an affair, it does not link you to being a murderer by any means. I mean, there are plenty of people that have had an extramarital affair that don't go on to commit murder. That's not the gateway to murder by any means. But it was the statement of saying that he was the widower and this is my first Christmas without her that I can't get past. I can't get past that, because I feel like he already had it in his head. You know, when he met her, they said once that he started getting more serious with her, he put his dreams of being a pro golfer on the back burner and all these type of things. And so I just wonder, was he harboring some resentment? And then did he see having a baby was really going to lock him down? And I don't know that he was necessarily looking to leave for Amber, but maybe he was just looking to leave for a different life. And I guess divorce, clearly in all these cases we see, apparently people haven't been told that that's an option. So I don't know. I'm eager to hear what you guys think, because like I said, he is still coming up as relevant on my timeline and in my newsfeed, because he's always back and forth. He's always filing petitions. He's in his 50s now, or right at 50. So we got a while to still hear from this one. I'm sure he ain't done yet. So I am very, very interested to hear what you guys have to say and what you think. And like I said, if you can convince me otherwise, then I am all open ears and open eyes to read it. So send me what you got. Until then, I am going to try to record another case this week, because next week is going to be super busy for me. But I still got to bring you guys some true crime. If you haven't checked it out, I'm probably going to try to do one about 2 missing girls that are actually being featured tonight. Like I said, I'm filming this on Sunday on the ID channel, and they're doing a special on them. Their disappearance happened quite some time ago, but I want to keep their names out there because of some very interesting facts that have come to light since then. So I hope you guys will enjoy that one. And we're going to do another cult, because, guys, I love a good cult. I can't stay away. But until then, I am so glad you hung with me. This was a long one. Could have made it so much longer because there's so much to unpack here. But prayers go out to Sharon. I hope she's still doing well, and to the rest of Laci's family, and just, want to keep her and Connor's name out there, because they deserve that. They deserve to still be here with us. And it's very sad that, we didn't get to see Connor grow up and family didn't, things like that. So, but we can do some good things on behalf of them. So buy Sharon's book, keep that out there. Keep paying attention to them anytime they're in the news, so we can keep their memory alive. And as always, guys, until the next one, I want you to stay safe out there, stay sweet, and I will see you next time, my cupcakes. Bye!